All right. Greetings and peace, everyone. Welcome to the Committed Relationships and Spiritual Activity YouTube show. I am your host, Neo, and I'm here to share some info with the people. Okay. Now this one right here, finally coming with a new recording, a new episode, speaking about something that is much more on the spiritual activity aspect of the show. I know it has been a while since I did some kind of shared some kind of content regarding spirituality, spiritual activity, because I've been so immersed in the relationship aspect of the show. Now it's time to go ahead and start speaking about some spiritual activity. And I just got done watching some videos about the third eye, and I felt like, okay, now I have a lot more information and understanding of the third eye, so now I can go ahead and start talking about it. Now, this is from my own experiences and also watching other people's experiences, but I'm going to give some examples of my own experiences. Now, the very first thing I want to mention is I feel it makes more sense to say the activation of the third eye rather than the opening, because the activation is, there's no such thing of its opening, because the third eye is just a gland. Well, first, yeah, that's what I want to say. It's a gland that largely deals with the spiritual activity of ourselves and the perception of the spiritual side of existence in different dimensions. And also the pineal gland is responsible for releasing the melanin, I believe, the melanin or melatonin that helps us out. So whenever a person has a proper functioning pineal gland, they'll be able to sleep much more easily and also more effectively and then naturally. They won't need anything in particular, anything external other than water, because the water, especially distilled water, it cleanses the pineal gland. And the reason why a lot of people's haven't been activated is because they got so much garbage on their pineal gland. It's kind of like in your nose where you got mucus buildup, where there's a buildup of junk, like of a variety of calcification that goes across a person's pineal gland. So avoiding eating a lot of junk food, that helps out a lot. But anyways, the activation is once it starts really functioning the way it's supposed to. And I want to say that this is the time in human history, or whatever it is, time periods, where more people's third eye is supposed to be activated. And if you look at ancient scriptures, it's the people in a lot of ancient scriptures said that around this time. And I think it said, what's his name? Edgar Casey said that they were supposed to be, the pineal gland is supposed to be opening, and he interpreted wrong. This is what Bobby Hemmett said too. He interpreted wrong, but what it really meant is that the third eye of the people of humanity is supposed to be opening up greatly. But now, opening or activating the third eye is actually gives us much more power that we are naturally supposed to have, and we do have, but it allows us to perceive that we have the power. Now, the so-called powers that be, which I call the influencers of society, they don't want that third eye open of the people, because once that activates, they will lose a lot more influence that they have over the people. And I say influence because it's not the control. If you really understand what's going on, it's just an influence that they have over people. And once you wake up, you are the controller, and you realize what's going on. And that's what they're doing. They're doing whatever they can to prevent people from activating that third eye, from it doing it itself, because you really don't have to do anything. And what they're doing is they're doing so many things to activate it, to prevent activation. That includes increasing the stupid TV shows, keeping those TV shows dumbed down, the movies dumbed down, the magazines dumbed down, just keeping everybody on a low frequency so that they can't go up and realize what's going on and then start making changes, and then letting go of those things that's been keeping them under the influence of the stupidity that's been going on. And now, a lot of people for many years have already had their pineal gland activated, but they just have not realized it. And for me, focusing and learning more about psychic abilities and psychic senses, I don't say abilities, psychic senses, because we all have them. I'm having a much more understanding about what I've been seeing throughout my years. And now I understand those images, those things that's been moving around, and where at the corner of my eye, I'm like, what was that? And then I move thinking that it's like a mouse or something, but no, that's just a spirit walking around. I was like, oh, okay, so that's that. And your thoughts too. Your thoughts, they come your another way to identify that you have your pineal gland activated is your thoughts. You'll have higher spiritual thoughts. And for me, one thing that happened for me that got me started on my relationship studies. That's what how I got into the creation of this YouTube channel, as far as making it a relationship and spiritual activity channel, is years ago after a breakup, when I was sitting down by myself, a breakup with a woman, after a relationship with her. I sat down and I was thinking about what I should do next. And then I said to myself out loud, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and I said, no, I'm going to just go ahead and move on to another woman. And then the spirit, one of my guides, it could have been one of my guides, I don't know who it was, but a spirit came through and said, and asked me, what makes you think that you're ready for another relationship? Literally just like that. And there was nobody around, and I heard it loud and clear. And me looking back at that moment, which that moment right there made me realize that I needed to study relationships. And that's when I started my journey, doing my own personal journey and working on my personal development. But anyways, when I look back at it, and now that I understand much more spiritual activity, I'm like, oh, that was a spiritual channel that came through loud and clear. And that made me realize, okay, I already have my pineal gland activated, and I've been having it for years activated. It's just that I've been expecting to have those big experiences that a lot of people have had, but I realize that everybody's experience with this pineal gland is different. And the more I put in beliefs into my psychic senses, the more I learned how to utilize my own pineal gland, especially with telepathy. We all are telepathic, and as long as you got a pineal gland, you're telepathic. And every being, if not every, but most beings in the universe is telepathic. And I'm learning how to utilize it even more, because I used to be able to do it very good when I was younger. That's why I didn't speak much. But then when my mother and other people of this society influenced me to start speaking more, speaking this stupid English human language, that got me out of the telepathy. But now I'm getting back into it. Especially I've been focusing more on watching these TV shows and movies that's dealing with aliens and the superpowers. Like, I like, what's his name? The Martian Manhunter. He's one of my favorites. He deals with telepathy. You got Professor X, you got Jean Grey, Emma Frost. Those are all of my favorites that I really like to pay attention to regarding psychic abilities, because those are real. And I look at them as a reminder to let me know, like, look, this is what you can do And then I study them also. So the pineal gland deals with that, the psychic abilities, psychic senses, and I'm telling you, you know you are activated when also you can perceive what's been going on around this world without people telling you. You can see what's really going on. And you can just look at my previous videos here. Go back and look at my previous videos. I can tell you, I told you a lot about what's going on. And this is without books. And this is without actually speaking with anybody that either used to work for the government or works for it currently or works for any other Hollywood company, any like that. It's just me looking at the movies and the TV shows, the magazines, and looking at society itself. I can just know exactly what's going on. That's when you know your pineal gland is activated, when you can perceive what's going on without people telling you. And you start to pick up lies much more easily. You detect it. Your intuition increases. My intuition is pretty much flawless, and I've learned to trust it and identify it and trust it. In those first few seconds of information that comes through, like when somebody walk into a room or when they say something, I know those first few seconds of that flash of intuition, that's my intuition. So I know what's going on. So that's why I tell people, when you're around me, at least, you might as well just tell me the truth about what's going on, because one way, somehow, some way, the truth is gonna come through, and I'm just gonna follow that intuition. And also seeing the spirits. A lot of people don't understand those things that's floating in the air and coming at you. Like one time I was sleeping on a couch, and I was just going into sleep, and that's when also you get past your conscious mind and you go into your subconscious mind, so you can perceive these spirits even more. But it was one time, one of them was floating at me when I was looking at the sky with the eyes closed. My face was up in the sky and faced the ceiling when I was laying down on my back, and then a spirit was coming at me like, ah. It's some weird stuff. You're gonna see some weird stuff once you have it activated. And then it was another one talking about, it was trying to, I guess, annoy me, because some of them, they do that. It's just, it depends on what environment you're in and also what vibration you're on. And one of them was bothering me, saying, you got skinny legs. And I just ignored it. Because at first I didn't know what it was, but then a few seconds later I was like, look at it. So that's a spirit trying to bother me. So some of them, you'll get some spirits that'll try to bother you and act stupid, and you can tell them to go away. You have to be authoritative. That's what I've learned too. The more authoritative you are, the more they'll be like, all right, well, I'm gonna leave this one alone. But if you become scared and you show fear, that's when you give them power. I don't care how they look and how they sound. The more fearful you are, the more they feel powerful. So you can't give them your power. You can't do it. You just tell them to, okay, look, this is what I tell them. I say, all right, now look, all of you lower vibrational entities, spirits, I don't want to bother with you, and I don't want you to bother with me. Leave me right now. And then they just leave. It's just like within an instant, they just gone. Or I say something like that. It depends on how I'm feeling it. Something like that. But I just came up with something quick off the top of my head. So that's the situation you got to deal with those entities, because there's entities that'll bother people, that'll bother you, but it depends on your frequency. Let me see here. The other thing is, your eating habits will change too. Mine changed a few years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where the desire to eat meat decreased, and to the point now I really don't care about meat, and I don't even try to go buy it. And the only time I really would eat it if it's already available when when like somebody cooks for me, I don't want to be rude, and I don't want to be an a-hole, a vegetarian a-hole like a lot of these vegetarians are. A lot of them are really big egotistical a-holes, and they've joined the vegetarian veganism religion. It's a religion now, whether people realize it or not. And when you really see what's going on, you're like, whoa, people have taken it way too far. So for me, I do my best to keep it myself balanced and not be an a-hole. So it's like when I'm around certain people that do eat meat, I balance it out and I don't be an a-hole. But at the same time, I don't care about buying it anymore. And the animals, they react to me differently now. When you raise your vibration, they'll come around you more, to the point where I was at the library in front of the steps, and what's his name? What is a squirrel? You know how most squirrels, they are extremely sensitive and they do not like humans. So when you walk towards them, they will run. But me standing on the steps, and I've had a lot of experiences with squirrels, standing on the steps, looking at my phone, one literally came from behind me by my shoes, and he stood there like not far away from me, from like maybe 2 feet away from me, 1 or 2 feet away, to where if he stayed there, I could have grabbed him, but I wouldn't have grabbed him. But I'm saying that was the closest I ever came to a squirrel. He was extremely close. I was like, yo. And at the same time, I think maybe because I was standing still, because with squirrels, they only see by movement. So things that move, their vision is different from ours. Me studying squirrels and how they move, because they see at the side of their eyes. That's why you'll see a squirrel, they'll turn a certain angle just so that they can see. So that might have been a situation too, that going on with that. So I don't want to exactly say that with squirrels, but the squirrels been coming a lot more closer to me than ever before. I've noticed that. But overall, I'm going to go ahead and end this right here. I want to say that your pineal gland is activated based off of those few things and more. But I just named a few based on my own experiences, and to let people know that everybody's experience is different. So you have to be alert of your new thoughts, your visions. There's visions that'll come to you, and visions that predict the future. This pineal gland is massive information that comes to you. The other thing is your intuition increases, where you just know something is right or not right, regardless of anything physically being there in front of you, physical evidence. Let me see here. Your vibration increases. People, places, and things are attracted to you. You start eating meat less. Your desire of meat decreases. And yeah, that's the top major things. So your pineal gland is probably already activated. You just have to stop looking for those major experiences that some people talk about. Yeah, that's the major thing. It's already activated. There's no such thing of it being open. It's activated. And for me, one time I felt like it pulsating. It vibrates too. Sometimes when you're in a telepathic communication, well, at least one time for me, it was vibrating, and I was speaking to a spirit, and that was the first time it came back online, like really, really fully, and I was in communication with the spirit. Yes, that I remember that when I was laying down, and I was in a meditative state, and then the spirit came through, and she was like, "Hi," and I was trying to move my mouth at the time. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I remember that. I was trying to move my mouth, and see, I got into the habit of being like a human, speaking those words. And then after that, it only took a few seconds for me to remember that, oh, hold on, this is a telepathic message. So use your pineal gland and speak telepathically. And it was just that few seconds I got right back into telepathic communication. And then it's like a phone. Yeah, right. And that's where the phones come into play. The phones and the internet, it's derived from our own internal abilities. And when you're speaking telepathically, you think your words to the spirit. And she was like, "Hi," and I said, "Hi, how you doing?" It was new. I haven't done it in a long time. And then what did she say? I think I either asked her name or she told me. She was like, "My name is Rachel," and that probably was one of my guides. And it was so weird. And then something happened where the connection left. So that was one of my first experiences coming back into telepathic communication. So I'm telling you, and your children, if you have children, they are already doing telepathic communication, and children are much more psychically sensitive than older adults, because older adults, they got into their ego, and they're still into their ego, and they don't believe in the spiritual stuff. But that's why for me, when the children talk about certain spiritual experiences, I can relate to them and I can understand, and I can also help the parents understand the child too. Because that's enough for right now. I'm gonna let that go right now. Thank you very very much. I talked way too much, way more than I expected. I just wanted to get across as much as possible. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding what I just said, you can go ahead and email me any spiritual activity information. You email me at neooneness@gmail.com. That's neooneness@gmail.com. That will be in the description. Hopefully I'll remember that. And relationship information, that is information will be for the committed relationships at gmail.com. So if you would like any more information regarding spiritual activity, you can go ahead and subscribe to my channel right here, and make sure you hit the bell icon. And also, if you like any other relationship information, make sure you check out my previous videos, because I speak largely on relationships, and make sure you subscribe here for that also. Till next time.